De mare.
Hello, we are live. Hey, peace and blessings, Africa Rising family, Africa Week. We are here. This is Black Love Stories, a world premiere, all the way from grey London. We had our last day of summer yesterday. It rained, and it's going to rain from now till spring. But the sunshine is here, man. My name is Fusion. I am your host. I'm your guide. I'm also a tourist. I am traveling to the motherland on an adventure. Cover stories of awesomeness from our everyday people, and we have nothing but kings and queens in these squares. And I thank you for joining us wherever you are in the world. I want to send a shout out to Dima. Thank you so much for making this connection, Queen. I'm so excited. How is everyone today?
All right.
Good. Good. Beautiful. So let me, Dima, can you just say a few words just to kind of welcome my family? Because obviously Black Love Stories has been going for about 5-6 months. We started during quarantine, and we realized that Black love was an essential ingredient that was missing from our lives because we couldn't connect. We were in our houses in an uncertain time, and what people needed was entertainment. They needed stories. As we became more isolated, they needed more connection and ultimately more love. And I've just been spurred on to keep going and growing with this. And then I connected with Dima, who's been doing this great work with AfricaWeek. So Dima, tell my family what's really been going down over the past few days.
I tell when he says connected with Dima, he means he was stalked. He was stalked. He was stalked, and then he was stalked again because your fam, the fam you're bringing to this fam, is pure magic. Is all about the love. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Africa Week 2020 family. It is such a pleasure. I have been manifesting this since May, since our inaugural Africa Week 2020, since my first time of joining your Black Love Stories. That was just pure infusion of magic, of
yeah, fam, let's be reoccurring. Unicorns are in the building. That's how you know magic is happening today, man. So
yes. This platform here is a reunion. We are unlearning events. We are unlearning organization. We are unlearning institutions. This here is a family reunion of Africa and all her children around the world. We tell people you're not coming here to give a presentation. You're not coming here for a lecture. You're not coming here for anything but a get together under the virtual family tree. Bring who you are, bring what keeps you up at night, and tell this family how we can help you sleep, because that's what we're here for. And it's all love. You are all welcome. We love you. My partner and co-creatrix of this, the auntie. I am the mama of Africa Week 2020. I got dubbed that when we first started because I literally birthed this baby. It was madness. 5 days, from 10 to 6, non-stop live streaming of all that is Africa Rising. And this time around, this is our second 1 week long reunion. 7 days, 24/7, continuous live streaming of all that is Africa Rising. The auntie Alexandra is not here, but she's sending her love. We have nominated just a glimpse for you to get to see a bit of what the continent has for you and what it's waiting for you to come and see, come through. Thank you so much, Fusion, for bringing your fam here, for bringing this love, and for all you do.
Beautiful. Thank you, Queen. We met for a project called Return of the Icons, and it was all about returning the artifacts, the statues, our heritage, because over 90% of the artifacts are scattered around the world. I live in London, and I get to see more Egyptian culture than Egyptians. And I'm just like, come on, this is crazy. There are so many important things like the Shabaka stone, you know, like stories of creation that are not understood here, you know? So that intention to bring something back home to Africa brought me to Dima. So I know the ancestors are here blessing us today. Dima came up with the metaphor of a hot air balloon, and I love it because hot air balloons are unpredictable. They go where they go, but you're going to get a beautiful view on this journey. Our journey begins here in London. I'm here in a place called Tottenham, you know, just on the borders of Tottenham, a place called Edmonton. And basically, I've grown up here as a man who's of mixed heritage. So my mom is from the Philippines, and my dad is from the Caribbean, but my genes are so strong. When I walk down the street, all they see is a black man. And I just love the fact that I've grown up in, you see behind me, there's nothing but records, man. Music informed my culture, hip hop specifically, and it educated me to a bigger world view. I thank Public Enemy, I thank KRS-One, I thank NWA, I thank Big Daddy Kane and London Posse and many, many others. So the mission today is to travel from London over to the motherland in this hot air balloon, and we're going to meet and greet people along the way. And the theme is feels like home. And we do hope, as I was saying to Jean before we started the live, sometimes when you get off at the airport, you get out of the plane and that balmy warm heat hits you, and then you wait for the car, the one that's not going to rip you off, and then you head into the hotel, and that drive with the taxi driver makes you go, yeah, I'm home. This journey is going to be immense. So you're all our guides as we move and go. We're going to find about favorite foods, favorite drinks, the best slang, spots to go to, and ultimately what it is to be from where you are. I'm going to begin our journey with a dear friend of mine, and I believe in serendipity and the fact there are no coincidences, only cooperative incidents, simple and plain. And this man has been working on a story about home, coming from East London, a place that is changing on a daily basis. There are cranes, there are builders, there are foremen transforming the neighborhood in many different ways. And he's taken the care to document the transformation from the view of the people. I would call them the indigenous people of those areas. And he's done a wonderful job of delicately crafting narratives and documenting it for generations to come of who we were. And ultimately, you know, I mean, God willing, who will become. So Ashton, I'd like to introduce you. You tell us a bit about where you are from first. Let's root you in a place geographically.
Oh, okay, yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Yeah, I'm originally from London. So my parents are of Caribbean backgrounds, so St. Lucian and Dominican. But, you know, I think if you look at me, people think, I'm, you know, from different parts of the world. So
you're getting trained by everybody, yeah?
Caribbean's quite mixed, basically. So I don't know, like, my 100% heritage. But yeah, Caribbean is my background. Born and raised in London, in Hackney. And yeah, like, it's just a pleasure to be here, and also a pleasure for this week as well. And to be amongst you guys too. You know, this is actually a pleasure. Fusion has called me to come on board, and yeah, I'm just like super excited. I don't know what you're going to ask me though, so I'm like,
I think it'll be great, seeing as everyone can see us in the square live. If we can have a quick shout out from each of the squares, tell us where you're from, your name, where you're from, and then we'll get to your square as we travel along. But I think it's important everyone is heard and introduced. So I think Jean's going to go live first. Yeah.
Oh, hey everyone, my name is Jean-Michel and I am reporting from Kigali, Rwanda. We usually say from the heart of Africa. So Eastern Africa represented.
Love. Okay, who's next up? I'm going to learn everybody's names. It's like my first day at school. I'm getting it
Hi,
right.
everyone.
I don't know how long it took me to record the advert for this show, man. I was just like, I've got to introduce people I've never met, but by the end of it, I will know them. So I'm going to just say Wuntia. Is that correct? Cool, my brother. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes, Wuntia. Yeah, Wuntia. So I'm Wuntia, calling in from Ghana, Accra, and I would say I'm more or less representing West Africa in this call. So it
And
should
also
be
the best
fun.
jollof
I'm
rice as
excited for
well.
this.
And you're representing the best jollof rice as well, yeah?
Sorry?
I said you're representing the best jollof rice as
Exactly.
well.
No doubt
Yes.
about it. No doubt about it.
Okay. I'm causing trouble already.
Definitely.
Okay. Right, my sister Mo Malele, please. Might check 1, 2, because you're gonna be blessing us with some lyricism, some poetry, some powerful words. So yeah, can we get an introduction from you, Queen?
Oh yeah, I hope everyone can hear me. The connection is doing that thing that it does sometimes, but it gets like really moody when you really need it. But what up? My name is Mo Malele, and I am coming to you guys live from the beautiful Jacaranda city of Pretoria in South Africa. Born and raised in here, work in Johannesburg, which is equally the city, the place of gold. And I'm excited to be here, man.
Love, and we're really happy to have you. One of the components of this show is live performance, so I hope the internet's going to hold up. But I'm loving your music. I'm loving the fearlessness and the power of your message. So we want to amplify that on the show for sure. And we got my sister in the middle right there, Nandia. Please check 1, 2. Let's hear your voice, Queen.
Hi everyone. My name is Nyandia, and I am coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, which is where I'm from. So representing East Africa with my brother Jean-Michel over there. Yeah, I'm excited about this. Can't wait to get this hot balloon, is it a hot balloon in the air?
Yeah. I don't think there's ever been so many black people on a hot air balloon. we're making history. No one's sweating too much. We're going to be good. Nandia, I hope you're liking my Maasai. I got the Maasai cloth here, man. I got that from the market.
I see you.
Yeah, man, I'm representing, man. I had the blessings to go out to Tanzania and just spend a little time out there, man. So I feel I'm learning as I go, and I will be coming back. But coming back, Ashton, no pressure. Can you tell us a little bit about what home means to you? Because you spent a lot of time exploring that idea with some really powerful, rooted and humble people who've been in the community just providing service.
Yeah, sure. So basically about the project, for me, I felt very strongly to kind of showcase all of the different tribes and different people that live around me in my area. I grew up in a very diverse community, and I had from Caribbean community to African community to Turkish community to, there was just so many different people, and growing up in Hackney was very diverse, and it just felt quite free. And so I guess that was home to me. That was something that I recognized as home and made me feel very comfortable. But as a filmmaker growing up, I noticed that my area started to change quite a bit. And, I don't want to say the major word of gentrification, but there was a lot of change. And the people that lived amongst me started to move out of the area because it became too expensive to, live in the space. So it really changed quite a bit. And for me, it was my community. Because again, certain people who can't be there obviously had to move because it was too expensive. So for me, home was just being able to feel comfortable, man. Like, if you go out on the street and you say hello to someone, you know who they are and so on, I feel good. I feel connected to the area, Whereas as things were changing quite a lot, I started to notice that people weren't necessarily connecting. They, walking side by side, but they weren't necessarily saying hello. It's different in London because it changes all the time, like people coming in, people coming out. And for the original Londoners, including me and Fusion, we're kind of like that furniture that's always there, we're not going anywhere. But, again, things change around us. And, I just felt that for me anyway, for home, I just wanted to capture that moment of certain people, certain individuals that were living in the space and be able to leave that as like a legacy. Like people will be able to kind of go back and watch the project and go, okay, well, this person used to live here or this person used to live here. But it's, based on just the diversity really that I grew up with. And I just find now it is still diverse. We still have those people that are around, but their stories are not necessarily captured you know, and I'm sure in Africa it's different to how it is in London, you know, and I'm sure the connection is a lot more deeper. But this is what I want for my surrounding and my neighborhood. I want people to actually feel like we are connected. We are human. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, don't matter. But we are human and we do have stories and we are connected to this area. So, yeah, basically my project was trying to capture the stories, you know, how people are connected to the areas, the people they know, the stories, the history, and be able to kind of put it in a nice nugget of, you know, short films that people can go and watch, and they will just remain online. So whoever comes to that area, they can go ahead and go, okay, well, who used to live here maybe 5 years ago? Because funny enough, the first project, or part of the project, which was in Hackney, well, I'll just say a couple of people have actually moved on. They're no longer there. And again, it's interesting to watch it again and go, okay, well, this is how it was back then. But it shows you just in the space of like 4 years how quick things can change in my area. So, you know, yeah, that's kind of.
I'm interested in the role of the documentarian. By its nature, you document change. But this is Africa Rising. Has it also radicalized you? Because as you hear people wanting to stay, wanting to claim home, and almost being forced to become nomadic, you know, do you feel a sense of this film is supposed to change things as opposed to document things?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's meant to cause a point of discussion. Okay. It's meant to cause awareness, because if you're new and you come into an area which other people will call home, and, you know, I know this, you know, I will say when I was growing up, even though I'm from a Caribbean background, I actually grew up with a Nigerian family. And that culture was amazing because I learned about jollof rice and I learned about like yabo and, you know, like the yam and stuff, you know. I learned about that because that was the thing that I had to understand. And that was the beauty about living in my community, because the fact of I understood that the food was really hot from a young age. And they literally got me ready for any type of hot food, because that jollof rice and the pepper sauce, y'all not playing. That I knew from a child, because I used to look at the other kids in the family and they were having this food and they were like maybe 4 or 5 years old. And I'm thinking, how are you doing this? So, you know, having that type of diversity growing up definitely is something that I wanted to share within my work, within my project, because we don't necessarily get that as much anymore. And I think things have become a lot more digital now as well. So, you know, I think we've become slightly insular and not being able to kind of look at what is around us, what cultures are around us. So Africa, obviously, as a continent, you know, there's enough culture there. But, you know, when we come into London, it's such a mixed match of different things. So, you know, for me, home is, yeah, making sure that we do have a connection to people.
Well, brother, is there a way that people can see your work? Because we're worldwide right now, and I think this is the little window, but you've created so many beautiful stories. Is there, I know we got the premiere with the Barbican tomorrow.
Yes.
Incredible art institution recognizing your work. But for the family around the world, is there a destination they can go where they can actually hear and watch your stories?
Yeah, so to the world and everyone who's out there, you can literally go to www.homefilmproject.com. We've got Insta, so at Home Film Project. The films are actually on there, so you can actually watch 4 of the films on there right now. So they're live. Please go watch them, leave some feedback. We love that. Spread the love. And tomorrow, if you've got time, GMT time, we're actually going to be doing a exclusive screening of one of the films called Hair Connections, which is about Gareth, who's basically a Caribbean hairdresser, and it just showcases his, you know, connection to everyone in his barbershop, and it's really a nice film. So we're going to be presenting that and also having a panel discussion. So yeah, come along, man. Like, we want everyone to see this project. So
and BMT will be, I'll be chairing the discussion afterwards. BMT will be documenting the stories as well. So follow us on BMT. We will be shouting out about your work. Before we let you go, Ashton, a couple of questions. You've already answered what home means to you. Can you tell us a dish from the UK that if the rest of us landed on the hot air balloon, and you can't say jollof, bruv, you can't claim that one.
No.
Like, bro, you can't. That's not it.
Okay, well,
you got to look in. So tell us a dish, a drink, maybe a spot that you particularly love. And,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I will say in terms of food, because obviously my background and me being Caribbean, I'm going to say hard food, which basically is, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say it, which is yam, you know, potato, daffin, and then a nice fish to go with that. Also some beans as well, green banana to go with that. That is like super food, obviously.
He's trying to get your African credentials up, brother. Everyone's nodding like, okay, we see you.
Okay, so what for the everyday food I can recommend to you guys that I will be eating literally is rice and chicken. That's basically what I'll say. Rice, chicken, flavored though, yeah, proper flavor. And in terms of a beverage to go with it, I'm gonna have to say the Purdy drink. Because it gives me energy. It's a very old school drink. If you ever come to UK town, Purdy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. That's got some botanicals in there, some mineral and goodness for the people. Okay, right. A spot, a particular place that you particularly feel makes you feel like home, like a venue or a park or somewhere.
Okay, I'm gonna actually say a place that really connects with me in terms of home, and it seems real crazy, but guys, if you ever or if you have been to London, you ever drop into London, obviously come and say hello, but go to the South Bank. The South Bank basically is overlooking the River Thames, and we have this place called the South Bank Centre. It is beautiful. It is a place where I can sit on the top floor and I can overlook, and everyone can go there. Anyone can go there. It's a free space. And you tend to find there are loads of artists that will go there. There's loads of writers that will go there. And just literally, it's a place to just focus and do your thing. I've let the cat out of the bag because Fusion's like, don't let everyone know about the South Bank Centre. But for me, that is my place where I feel comfortable, I feel at home, and I feel like I can just do what I need to do, man. So if ever you guys are in London town, go and check out the South Bank Centre, and just the embankment in general is beautiful.
That's a great call. Thank you for that. And there's a one piece of slang. So when they land and they see the people, then is there one piece of slang you can tell them? Say, yeah, that's the.
So I will say. So normally we will go. All right, you know what I'm saying, or oh, do you know what I mean? So we can say it real quickly, and we'll go. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. But we'll say it quite quickly. So if you jump in and someone's chatting to you and you're going, yeah, you know what I mean. So it's just a very quick slang. But yeah, that's
poetry already. I see her. She's like, yeah, no doubt. Ashton, my brother, thank you so much. I know you've had a busy night hosting another event for the Barbican. So go and rest up. Tomorrow's your big day, premiering some great films, and we'll be supporting you, my brother. Big love. You're welcome to hang out, but thank you for showing us London, man, and the UK.
No problem, man. Much appreciated, guys.
Sweet. I will say, I'm gonna just jump out there and just say, we don't have anything great to celebrate. I think as British food, I may get in trouble for that. Fish and chips, slightly overrated. Chicken and chips may kill you out here. But I would say that probably oysters. Strangely enough, there's a place called Whitstable on the coast, and it's just one of those traditions. You can go to the coast. You can eat oysters, you have donuts, and it's kind of like an English thing, you know? So it's not, don't think you can go and sun your toes on the beach. The beach got pure hard stones on it. But the oysters are good. Just putting it out there. Right, let's get in the hot air balloon.
Really exciting.
Any feedback? Has anyone learned anything like interesting, unusual about life in London in the UK?
I thought the national dish was curry.
Was that curry? Yeah,
said,
yeah. The curry game is strong, but you know, India man gonna claim that one. You know, apart from korma, we invented the cool curry.
I know.
The curry that won't make you sweat. We pioneered that, and then we sold it back to India. Strange but true. Right, let's rock on. The hot air balloon is taking off. We're waving goodbye to Ashton. But before we say goodbye to him, do check out his work. He is a dedicated documentarian of the culture, and his films are very insightful, very personal, and an important document. So the hot air balloon is heading south. We're heading to South Africa. I get word there is a poet, a musician who speaks her truth into the universe. We have the blessings, hopefully with the internet connection, to have her performing some pieces for us and a bit of a conversation. So please, Black Love Stories family, Africa Rising family, welcome to the square. Mo Malele. What's good? What's good? Yeah, man. We finger clicking, we clapping.
What up? What up? How's it going? Snaps. Yeah, yeah. Let's keep the energy
Beautiful.
moving. Let's keep it going.
Man. How we doing?
We're
Is it
warming
nicer
up.
than
I
London?
like it. Yes. I can say that without a shadow of a doubt, even though I haven't been to London, so I'm not at all biased. But it's our nighttime here, and it's been a bit of a heavy day on my side. But having a good time, man. Having a good time, living and loving life. I always say living and loving life.
That. A good friend of mine has a phrase about living unapologetically. You know, that's been a thing. I think in the wake of the many attacks on the Black body that we've had over the past few years, we're increasingly saying we have to live our truths and you know, stand for something.
Yeah.
And I feel you've always been doing that. Listening to your music, it sounds unapologetic, it sounds authentic, and it sounds like you really have to represent yourself. So when did that journey begin for you as a poet and as a musician?
So just on the point of living, like before I give you, and thank you for like listening to the music and supporting. Like I always say to like everybody who gives me some love, like thank you for the love and support. It means a lot. Keep them streams coming. Keep them streams coming. But yeah, so like on the point of living unapologetically, I've actually discovered, like before I tell you the journey and everything, but throughout the entire journey, one thing that I've actually discovered is that, you know, you grow up as a kid and, you know, you come from humble beginnings, you come from a poor background and you're looking at life and like you've got all these dreams and hopes and things that you want to achieve. But you're always told, you know, that, you know, money can't buy you happiness and you have to change, like you have to chase your passion and live a purpose-filled life. And, you know, all like the philosophy of work and life and balance, all that stuff, right? And obviously that's what I've moved more into. So coming from a finance academic background and being, you know, sort of an accountant and sort of going in like the finance and banking route, but then changing my career and then going into the things that make me passionate, or things that I have a passion in and like chasing my purpose. One thing that I've realized and something that I'm very always passionate in communicating is that there's so much power and meaning in living your passion and living your purpose over and above just making you happy. And I think that's one thing that I had to, like, I discovered that doing it, right? Like chasing your passion and living your purpose, that you have an ability to change the lives of so many more people. Like it goes far beyond than you just being happy and you just like being content with your life and chasing your passion. The change you bring, the healing you bring, like the world that you can change just by living your passion. If everybody just did that, the world would actually just be a better place. If everybody just lived their passion and chased their purpose, just purely. And that's something that I try to communicate to the youngsters that I mentor and that I work with, the people that I work with, like my colleagues and my business partners, and people who listen to my poetry. You know, when I have opportunities like this, the one thing I always want to leave people with is that, like, don't thank me or laud me for doing this, because I just chased my passion. I lived my purpose, and I did this because it made me happy. Like I would have done this if none of y'all were listening to the poetry. And not to sound like pompous and arrogant, but I was doing it before people knew who Mo Malele was, right? Like I was buying studio time. I was investing in my craft. So don't thank me in the sense of thinking that like in the sense of thinking that you can't do what I'm doing, like that you can't live your passion, that you can't live your purpose, that you can't change the world just by being you.
Break the wall
because
down.
You can. Yeah, right.
Because that's
you can.
created where the stars are so high up, people can't aspire to rise. Whereas the authentic story of most stars is they had to go deep down to get up. And that's the work. We hide the work because the work makes it look achievable if you're committed. And I thank you for that honesty.
Yeah. So that's the story of how I got where I am, and like the work that I do. Like that's like literally the philosophical way of telling you what a publisher would pay me money to write a book on, like all the ups and downs, the peaks of the valley. A publishing company would pay you good money to write
You're
all
smooth.
of that stuff
I see the plug. There's the plug, man. So anyone out there,
yeah. I mean, I am looking for a publishing deal. So
you're too late. Get the rights for the book now. It's a winner. It's a winner.
Yeah.
Let's get into the music, Queen, because and I'm so excited. I've grown up on music, and one of my delights has been able to hear musicians from around the world share their insights, share their music and their traditions. So without further ado, let's do that, and hopefully take some questions from the audience as well. That would be great. So let's do this.
All right. So so today I'm gonna share some pieces. I'm gonna share I've got 2 pieces here that I've queued. I'm gonna share them, but they're gonna be a cappella. So I am a poet and a spoken word artist. And just to give you a bit of background, right? I've recently just released an album titled My Country Needs Me. And the album, so it's a full digital release, which is, I'm learning from the community, is very different. You know what I mean? For a poet to just do a full digital release and not have a book or any sort of paper attached to it. So it's available on all streaming platforms. And the album fuses 50% of the album is like a cappella, and the other bit is fused with music. So there's a lot of musical influences in the album. And I'm already working on my next project, and that's actually going to be I'm actually learning to produce my own beats. So the next album will be a visual album. It will be completely in-house produced beats by myself.
Cool.
And I might even do some singing. I'm taking vocal lessons, etc. But the pieces I'm gonna perform here, they're gonna be a cappella. The first one I'm gonna perform is a piece called "Why I Write," and it's exactly that. So it's just me sharing with you for 4 or 5 minutes on all the different things that inspire me to write poetry, to perform poetry, to share my work. And I hope that it touches you and it does for you what it does for me. So this is called "Why I Write." People often ask me why I write. Come up to me and ask me what gives me the precious right to write. I stand there awestruck that somebody would want to ask me that question, and I feel like a teacher because I finally get to teach a lesson. But I stand there looking into their face through their eyes, trying not to tell lies about the story behind my lines, trying to conjure up words so profound, so renowned, that it brings the deaf back to sound, the blind back to sight, and the dead back to life. But such profound and renowned words cannot be found. All I can say is I write for those that can't find a reason to live except my poetry. So they can read my lines, watch my signs, and find a reason to live. I write for all little girls all over the world taught to be submissive to the worst definition of a woman. I write so all the single mothers can know it doesn't take a man to raise a man. And then the answer to any question your child asks is yes, you can. I write so you can read. I write so the illiterate can learn to enunciate, articulate, and literate through my poetry. I write because I refuse to run. I write because I'm living proof of God's eternal truth. That the promise he is making, the blessing he is giving, he will not be late in delivering. I write so those without legs can walk. Those without voices can talk. So the deaf can hear, the blind can see, so those in captivity can be free. So the lost to be found and the silenced have sound. I write so Judas knows he is forgiven. All right, so Adam can be resurrected and tell the truth about who ate the apple that was forbidden. And then maybe Lucifer can tell me how something forbidden even made into the Garden of Eden. All right, because some days I have more questions than answers, and most days I have more answers than questions. And so I write because sometimes the weight of the world feels so heavy on my shoulders. I can feel it in my teeth. I feel it in my lungs. I struggle to breathe. I write. So politicians can start politicking and start delivering what they've been promising. I write because I can't read. I write because I don't want to bleed. I write because I can't cry. I write for all the kids with daddy issues. Then I write for all the daddies with issues. I write so the rich know there's no benefits of being rich if you never learn to give. And I'm not talking about philanthropy or charity. I'm just saying stop stealing money from poverty. I write So anyone who reads knows that the real and true revolution that will change this world as we know it will not come from your wars, guns, knives, or missiles, but will come through poets like me and readers like you and people who want to change the world one line, one family, one girl at a time. And so I write. I write until I don't know the difference between reality and fiction, past or present. All right, because most days it's all I can do. The only place where everything makes sense. Nothing is wrong. Black is beautiful. Woman is wonderful. Where life is blissful and death is peaceful. Where love lasts forever. Joy is our religion. Peace our philosophy. Love thy neighbor like you love yourself is our political policy. And hate is the only thing we bury 6 feet under. But mostly I write because if I ever change the world, it'll be one line, one family, one girl child, one son of man, one master plan, one heartbeat, one lung breathe, one blood bleed, one slit wrist, one comatose overdose, one step, one word, one phrase, one clause, one pause, one rand, one piece of land, one meal, one dream, one book, one hook, one subject, one course, one teacher, one preacher, one pastor, one child molester, one school, one department, one region, one section, one block, one province, one state, one county, one country, one continent, one hemisphere, one globe, one planet, one galaxy, one universe at a time. But most importantly is the fact that I write because if I ever live long enough to change the world, it will be all of that stuff combined into one life at a time. And until that day, I write. Thank you.
Family, give it up, man. Permission to stamp your feet, to clap, to cheer. You know, I'm with the homie right now. I wanted to jump in the square, man, because, like, you know, normally I'm live on my own, but a good friend of mine, one of the giants of the UK poetry scene, Am. Shahid, is in the place, man. You can hear him clicking and clapping and making noise. But, bro, put your face in the square, man. Let them know you're here. Yeah. Like, this man, he doesn't get moved easily by poetry. But King, what do you have to say about that?
You know something, when you was there going through all of the ones, that was the blow away thing for me. Even to the thing of the what's it called? The negatives in it's just the looked at negatives in society. When you said I think one child molester or one pedo or something like that. I think like everybody's included, everyone's included to then be, I don't know, cleansed at the end of all of it. You know?
Yeah, you get it.
Looking, yo, everyone can get a piece of healing in this piece. Wow. I just want to say, and anyone else in the square, we're all family here, man. We're so grateful. We got Inas from DC showing love. We're global with the gratitude for the piece you shared. The reason why I love Black Love Stories is because we've been forced together because of COVID. But in coming together, we have found each other for the first time. And I'm so grateful and confused. I didn't know it was possible to hear poetry from South Africa so eloquently spoken. How many tongues do you speak, and are you cold in all of them?
Sorry, say that again. How
many languages do you speak? Like, you know, I'm just gonna display my truth, even if it appears as ignorance, because for me, you know, I always feel when I go to the motherland, like English is poor currency. You know, and I just found through your craft, if you were stepping out on a stage here where people only speak English, you would have blown them away with what you did just now. And I'm just wondering how that factors into your writing, you know, different languages, different ways of expressing yourself.
Yeah, so that's actually very interesting that you bring up that question, because I have the honor of running a panel on Friday evening that is titled Language as Power. And we'll actually the energy of the panel is where we're going to be actually like dig into the layers of how language can be used as a means of gaining power, success, influence, or control in society. And one of the things we're going to be talking about is how some languages are seen as superior to others.
Yes.
And how if you are more fluent in those languages, then you are seen as more educated and you have higher chances of being successful in society. So things like English, French, you know, Spanish, so those, so if I'm like speaking at least internationally, not
Colonial
necessarily from an
languages,
African
really.
context,
Yeah.
those are the sort of the languages that the more affluent or the more articulate you are in those languages, whether spoken and or written, the better your chances of being able to travel the world and be successful and etc. So in South Africa, we've got 11 official languages, which is one thing that I actually wanted to share about what for me feels like home. So in South Africa, we have 11 official languages, but I always think of them as 10 official languages because one of the 11 is English, and I always feel like English is not indigenous to South Africa. And so I always think of the fact that we've got 10 official languages. English is just something that sort of came with the story of how South Africa became South Africa. It's just part of the history.
Yeah.
But our languages are 10, one of which is Afrikaans, which is actually derived from a Dutch, because, you know, the Dutch settled in South Africa for a bit. But I always say to people that Afrikaans, even though it has what you call Dutch origins, is still a very South African language, because there's nowhere else in the world where you'd find them speaking Afrikaans the way that they speak it in South Africa. You know, and if you go to the Netherlands and to Holland or Dutchland or whatever. But to answer your question, because I tend to digress a bit, so this album has been mainly in English. And obviously, I mean, listen, to be honest with you, the vast majority of South Africans are very, can articulate themselves very well in English. So most South Africans speak English as though means that we can all sort of communicate together, and then you speak your indigenous language, which is tied to your tribe or your ethnic group. So the Sotho, so the Sotho people, they speak Sesotho. The Tswana people, they've got their languages, and the Zulus, the Xhosas, the Vendas, the Ndebeles, the Afrikaner people speak Afrikaans. So, but everybody would be able to sort of understand each other in English, and then, but your main language would be your indigenous language. Yeah.
Right. It's almost like English is the city where you can go and exchange. But when you go back to your region, the village is the nuances of your language are your region, the dialect that you speak. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole history there, and just quickly to wrap up, because I don't want to like take up the whole time, because I could if I don't curate. If I don't curate myself, this could be my own panel, so I need to curate myself. But one of the things I found most powerful about language, which is why I really wanted to do this to do this panel, is that you could understand an entire history of a people, like and understand them even today. So it's like follow their history and then work back to where they are today, just by following the history of their language. And I was saying this to a group of youngsters that I was talking to in the context of diversity and inclusion, and how much tension the words cause. Like when you start talking about diversity and inclusion, it like causes so much tension. Like people start thinking race and gender, and there's all these things, right? When you start thinking about apartheid, you start thinking about colonization and all these things. There's so much tension to the point where people start not listening to what you're saying and listening to the story. They're just like uncomfortable with the tension. They feel sort of like attacked. And so I was saying to them that if, for example, we took away like the racial aspects of it, you took away the gender-based aspects of it, you took away, like, let's not talk about the things that give tension, right? But we still want to educate people on history and where the country comes from, where the continent comes from, where a particular group of people have traveled. You could literally do that just by...
She was dropping gems. Like the Gremlins were here before she performed, and then they held out, but she was dropping too many gems, man. Just like, nah, she's gotta go. Shout out to Renelle. She's enjoying the analogies of the conversation. I appreciate this global family listening. Please talk to us, throw in questions, and yeah, we're back. They can't stop you. Come on, Queen. You there?
Hello. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm back. I got lost for a second there.
That's cool. It's all good. You there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm back now. Y'all should be able to pick me up now.
All right. I'm gonna bring it home with just a couple of quick questions, and I can guarantee you, all of you are welcome back. Like when we go back to Instagram, I'd love to have a more thorough conversation with all of the guests, man. You're all beautiful people. This is so fresh. I asked Ashton about a word. He said, "Namin," and "Amin." You know, as far as, do you know what I mean? That was his English slang. I was wondering, is there a word that is your dialect that doesn't translate into any other language? Because that's what I love about language. There are things that cannot be described in another language. So give us a word that's unique and tell us what language that is. I don't think that's one of those long pauses. I think the internet's frozen. You there? Okay. I guess the feeling that we've had our time. I think something's happening right now. There's some energy issues down in South Africa. We can hopefully have you back. But family, we're going to get back in the hot air balloon. We're going to take off. But maybe, just maybe, if we can get back, we're going to have a few last words from South Africa. But we're heading out. Where are we going next? I think we're going to Ghana. Yes, we are. I'm hoping we're ready for a conversation about an incredible project. And before I even jump into this project, Wantia, when I was doing my research, you are a young man. You know, I kept seeing 17 coming up, like, you know, in different bits of internet links, and I thought that must be the name of his company. You know, like, he's not that young. No one can be that young and be an ecologist changing the world. So I didn't accept it. I still don't accept it. So how old are you? And like, why are you so dope at an early age, bro? Winter, you there?
But
yeah.
First of all, right now I'm 20. Yeah, can you hear
20.
me?
Yeah, okay.
Good. Okay, I think we're
Right.
good. So right now I'm 20, and I think this whole project started around when I was 17, so there is some truth to that. But I think basically I've just really benefited from having lots of really inspiring people around me. Fun fact, even though I'm from Ghana, I was born and raised in Ghana, I spent 2 years of high schools during A-level in South Africa. So I studied in South Africa for 2 years, and that's where I got to really experience lots of interesting things at the African Leadership Academy. And that's where I met a very close friend of mine, Jesse Forrester, who's from Kenya. So people from all over the continent coming to one place to study together, to live together, and just see how we can learn as much as possible and see which of Africa's problems we could solve. So we were studying together, and one thing really struck us. Not too far away from us, we were studying in Johannesburg, and in Cape Town, we were hearing things of Cape Town having a drought, and we thought, this is strange, because last time we checked, Cape Town was a coastal city. It's by the ocean. How come there's a drought there? It didn't make sense to us. And Cape Town is also much more developed than lots of other African cities. So if a city like Cape Town, which is by the sea, is having droughts, what about other African cities inland which don't have the same resources? So we started doing some research, and we saw that, again, the problem is not that there's no water, but it's that there's water there, but it's not usable for people. So we started thinking of ways that we could come up with a low-cost method of treating wastewater, at least to test in our school. So we continued our research and came across a system called the living machine. And the living machine basically uses plants to recycle wastewater. So plants and other microorganisms, which is the natural way, which has been done for millions and billions of years. But we sort of lost track of that and have been using more high-tech systems. So we thought, why don't we just go back to that, go back to the roots, pun intended.
Literally.
So we applied for, we started thinking about that idea, but how to implement that was still a challenge. So we applied for the Zai Sustainability Prize, which was a grant to fund sustainable projects all over the world. And we applied under the high schools category because we were still in high school at that time. And it was a $100,000 grant, and we were really fortunate enough to win and use that to bring this project to life. So
fortunate's an understatement. Like, no wonder the internet is telling you at 17, doing the most, bro. Because I mean, 100,000 at 17 to invest in improving water, the quality of life. I salute you, man. That's incredible. But please continue. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we managed to bring the project to life. So we managed to bring together the living machine in ALA, which currently recycles 1,000 liters of wastewater each day. So that's about 300,000 liters of water every year from the school's dining hall. So that's with a student population of about 300. So for us, that really got to show us a lot about what can be done when institutions, we have regular institutions, are fused with environmental sustainability, because a school like the African Leadership Academy can recycle its own water and reuse that. And currently that's being used for fish farming and also to grow crops, which are being sent back to the school to feed the school population. So we saw that environmental sustainability isn't really something that's done in isolation. You can more or less apply it to almost any scenario, whether it's education, whether it's transportation, but this was how we got to know about it. And for me, that was the first venture into environmental sustainability. And it really struck me because the biggest lesson for me wasn't, the biggest lesson for me came about because I don't have a science background, right? I studied economics and history in ALA. I'm planning to study economics in university, but how I got involved in environmental sustainability is because I had a group of people around me who were more or less experts in this, and I tried to tap into their knowledge and see what they could learn. So for me, the power of collaboration really stood out, and connecting to people all over from various backgrounds, whether it's countries or expertise. I just felt that was what made this project successful. It was the other people who were around that brought it to life. So that's been my story as a whole.
Beautiful and wonderfully told as well. I'm curious about a couple of aspects of the story. Traveling geographically from Ghana to South Africa, even though you're still on the continent, did you feel immediately like an outsider? And in what way, if you did you feel like you were different from the South Africans you met?
I think so. The school is based in South Africa, and one interesting thing is that the population there are so many people from lots of other African countries, and I did feel that difference when I left Ghana, because that was my first time studying outside Ghana, and it really showed me that the continent is a lot more diverse than we think it is. I mean, when you're outside, we tend to say, I'm from Africa, but then there's a lot more diversity and a lot more difference. But I didn't really feel that it was a bad difference. I just felt like, okay, there's a lot more to understand. There's a lot more that I don't know. There's a lot more food I haven't tried. We had these things called cultural exchanges where different African regions would come and present the culture, basically. So they'll cook for the day, there'd be a play, there'd be some music from that region. And it really showed me how vibrant the continent is, a lot more than we actually think it is. And the most interesting thing for me is that it made me appreciate my own country a lot more, because when I saw that a lot of people knew so much about their country, I had to go back and do a lot more research about mine. I just got to know a lot more as a whole, and I think it's really important to just expose yourself to people from many backgrounds, and that's why I really like this platform as well, that we're getting to engage and really learn from each other and just cherish that as well.
100%, and I see some beautiful parallels with the conversation we had with Mo as well. She did what she did out of a passion to be authentic, and it affects other people. And I love the story of this living machine. By actually cleaning your own backyard, by cleaning your own water, it has a knock-on effect in wider circles as well, in other industries. So even as we operate in isolation, we also affect other people as well. You know, I think that's a powerful insight. And also I think the sense of the outsider as well. I can imagine you coming with this intellectual curiosity and an interest in the culture meant that you were an important component in this living machine. You know, it takes somebody from outside the village sometimes to understand the village, you know. So I salute you on that as well, King. So tell us, we've already established jollof rice is like the home of jollof rice. We might get some Nigerians in the chat fairly soon.
I'm ready to fight for that.
We'll get Jean to manage the debate for sure. Can you just tell us a few things, drinks, places that you, perhaps when you're not at home, you kind of miss, that make you feel like home?
So I'd say my favorite Ghanaian food, it's called wache. So what it is, it's basically rice with beans and with some hot sauce. The hot sauce is called shito. And the beautiful thing about this is you can add so much to it on the side.
What's the sauce
so,
Bro.
Shito.
Oh, that's a whole other story. Right, so carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the reason why I love wache so much is you can add so much to it, whether it's eggs, you can add beef to it, fish, or vegetable. So it just becomes a really full meal. That's what I love about it. Drinks, this would really go well with something called sobolo. And sobolo is basically it's juice from hibiscus leaves. So from the hibiscus flower, and it just really sweet and has this really strong flavor, which goes well with so many dishes here.
Connoisseur, and give us just one phrase that might help me out when I touch down in Accra and I'm just there trying to fit in with the culture. Give me something that can help me, man.
I think when you touch down and you meet anyone you're trying to get to know, just call the person Charlie, and Charlie basically means friend. So it breaks that barrier a bit and just makes people a lot more open. Yeah,
I love that. I'm the most popular guy on the block. I just keep hearing that word because that's a very popular name in the UK, man. So I got called on that a few years back. But my brother, we're gonna. What we love doing with BMT is we have the Instagram platform, which I have on my tag. And what we do is we tell the stories. We collect stories. Your story is so important. And we want to champion and spread the word. And we'd love to have you back as well. So salute to you, Jesse, the whole school. And you're an inspiration, man. You're an inspiration. It gives me hope that there's a new generation who are solving a problem that wasn't their problem, and doing it in a way that we can be proud and grateful, man. So keep up the great work and we're riding with you, yeah? Cool. Big love, man.
Thank you so much.
Right. Family, this is Black Love Stories, historical. This is all about us connecting from the UK back to the motherland with the help of Africa Week 2020. Follow the hashtag Africa Week 2020. And it's going to go on right through to, I believe, Friday, Saturday, when we're looking off Dima. You're muted right now.
Sunday.
Love that. Right. So right through to Sunday, stimulating conversations, debates, connection, global family come together. And Mo, I'm definitely checking out your talk. You know, words are weapons, you know, and we've witnessed some of those weapons in your expression. I'd need to hear more of your poetry. You are fire. Yes, the hot air balloon takes off once again. We've stopped off at Ghana. We've had our little drink with hibiscus leaves. You know, we've had some good conversation. And where are we off to next? I think, let me have a look. It looks like we're heading on time for a debate. I love a good debate. And this man here doesn't just debate. He is the one. He's the debate whisperer. Yeah, he's helping a nation find its voice and sharpen those tools to instigate change. And I want to welcome him to the square. I want to welcome him to the square right now. He's been with us from the beginning. My brother, Jean-Michel Habeniza. Did I get the name right? Is that correct?
Well, if you want to say it how we say it, is Habeniza.
Habeniza. Beautiful. And what's the heritage of the name? Because, you know, I'm always curious about like people's lineage and how they arrive at the names.
So I think Habineza comes from a proverb which basically says that there's always good in bad. So that's what, though if I was to literally translate Habineza, it means there is goodness. But the full proverb is there's goodness even in bad.
Amazing. So this is your birthright. I mean, it's crazy because I come from hip hop culture and we name ourselves like, you know, Dr. Dre, don't let him operate on nobody. You know, like everyone comes up with a name that feels right for them. But your name in of itself is literally what debating is about, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. No, totally. I think when I heard about it, I was like, this is it. This is it.
I'm curious because I don't think it was a job that was available. You know, a lot of my friends who grew up with parents from the motherland, you know, the pressure was on to be a doctor, a lawyer, you know, one of those stable careers. And I don't think debater was on the list of potential careers. So I'm wondering, when did the light bulb go off that this would be part of your life's work?
Well, I would say for me, I really love what Mo talked about a little bit earlier about following passion. And I think that most of it is also following purpose. I think that we discover what purpose is. Sometimes we find ourselves doing things that we never really planned for. So for me, I would say I had, when I was younger, I was given a chance to attend university in the US on a debate scholarship. And when I was there was an organization called the Baltimore Urban Debate League. And what they did was they initially debate was an activity that was done by privileged white kids, where they will be trained to go to law school and to become politicians. But what the Baltimore Urban Debate League was doing is they were teaching young students from really poor neighborhoods, and then they would teach them on how to find their voice and how to basically use the tool of debates to express themselves. And so you would find these kids started talking about issues such as white supremacy, such as anti-blackness, and they will go in debate rounds and they will debate against their white counterparts, and they will force them to talk about issues of race. So you would find these kids wearing these privileged kids wearing suits and a tie and quoting all Western philosophers. And then you would find these kids wearing do-rag and a baggy jeans quoting Tupac. And I thought that was amazing, right? It's like they would come in and they were quoting Tupac and they're talking about their lived experience. And I thought, oh my God, this is the most powerful thing I've seen. So I came back to Rwanda in 2012, and I thought, what if we could build the same thing for our kids? And honestly, what I wanted to do is, how do we teach young people to find their voice? Because one of the things that we have to talk about in our culture is how it's very, we want kids to be seen and not heard. So we don't want young people to express themselves. We want them to just do as we tell them to. So obedience, obedience, obedience. But part of what we don't know is that comes from a very colonial education system, right? Where the teacher is the master, and a lot of the people that were being trained in order for them to be the servants of white people and the colonialists, right? So we had some of these, church schools, or many of them were just trained to be the bourgeoisie, the African bourgeoisie that will maintain the system, right? And that will maintain things the way they are, and they don't shake and then do anything. And I read the work of, I think that changed my life, was Paulo Freire. It's called The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And he says that education either stands as a means of integrating the younger generation into the logic of the present system and bring about conformity, or it becomes a practice of freedom, means by which men and women deal critically and creatively with their world and engage in its transformation. So for me, it was like, do we want to have young people that are just going to conform, or are we going to equip them to be able to transform? So we started iDebate. Honestly, if I knew how hard it would be, I'm not sure I would have started. but it was almost, you know, getting into
None of us.
it's like getting into a culture where people are used to obedience, and then telling them, no, let's actually present arguments, let's reason, let's really find a solution to these really complex issues. So until now, we work with the school system. So we've worked until, you know, this happened. We're working with about 35 schools in Rwanda. That's about 900 students, and they come together on a monthly basis. They have competitions, and they really are debating about, you know, the issues that everybody else is, you know, talking about. And the other thing too is that we do have, you know, holiday camps, and our holiday camps, instead of calling them, debate camps, they're called Dreamers Academy. And part of what I always want is my job is not to create the best debaters. That's not my job. My job is to equip them with what debate provides, so then the ability to think critically, the ability to express themselves, but then also so they can use that as a tool to transform their own world. So part of everybody gets training in debate and argumentation, but we also do a lot of training in public policy. We do trainings in like creative expressions. We do trainings in, you know, entrepreneurial leadership. And part of it is, how do you take this and then translate it into the real world, right? And you know, last year we had our camp usually for about 10 days, and we had 420 students from the whole of Rwanda, and we had some from Uganda and Kenya. And I would say the last thing that I would say about what we do is, every year I take students on the tour of the US. So I take my students to go and debate against the best universities in the world. So we have debated against, we've been at Harvard, we've been at Yale, we've been at Wake Forest, we've been at all of these universities. And what I've always said, you know, what I really want is, first of all, I always tell my students, it's not about winning. But the moment you get at the table and they have to bring the best game against you, I feel like we have accomplished what we want to do, because I want my students to feel like they deserve to be at every table, and that they're as smart, as intelligent as anyone else, and that just because they're born in Rwanda or someplace in Africa doesn't mean that they're any less smart. And even if it means that they have to put in more work because they don't have as much access as others, it doesn't matter. But they show up and they do their best. And it's been quite an experience, man. Like I always invite people to say, maybe you might not take my word, but take, watch on YouTube. You will see some of our students who are, 14. The youngest was 13, and they're up to like 17 years old, going against university students in the US who have 10 times their resources, but who are, at an intellectual level, they are the same level as others. And for me, part of what I wanted to make sure is I want to get rid of this idea that if you want to hide anything from a black man, you have to put it in a book, and then also this idea that that we are going to be the basketball players, or that and it's good, we can. Players, can do that. Even anywhere else, we're still as good as anybody else, right? And for me, my biggest, I think I always say the biggest achievement is every time we leave the US is when my kids who are 14, 15, when they say, "Man, I'm as smart as they are," and they are not special. And when that happens, I'm like, "This is it. That's the magic. That's the magical moment." So yeah, so that's a little bit of what we're doing, and really what we are hoping to make our legacy be. And that's it's a very tiresome work, but I think it's work that needs to be done. And I think we all say we believe in young people, but if we just invested a little bit more, to help them, sharpen their mind and give them opportunities to be as exposed as they can. Oh man, they do wonders. They do wonders.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's been like soul healing to hear this. Part of my journey as an educator, I spent 15 years teaching young people not dissimilar to yours. And what I found, even though I've gone on my journeys into other fields like presenting and working with brands, it's the best investment I've ever made in my life, because the seed you planted, you know, years later on, you see them flower and you see that grow, and they grow into things you could not have imagined. And that's the blessing. It's just like, wow. You know, sometimes when you do a job, you build an extension for a house, it's done. But with young people, the work's never done, and they grow in, and they also share the knowledge. They pass that light on. It's so good.
And I'll tell you that. So I've been doing this now for 8 years, and I think the most beautiful thing is to sit. Well, we currently have, you know, more than 120 volunteers, and I always tell the guys that my biggest blessing in life is that all the volunteers we're working with are my former students. So I'm like, that's the bigger blessing, you know, being able to say, this person, I've seen them when they were 13, and now they're doing all these amazing things. And like our first class is just graduating from university, and you know, we have like, right now we have about 3 students that have gone to Harvard. We have you know, about 2 that have gone to Stanford, and all these big places. And for me, it's not the names, but it's like the fact that they have that confidence that they can go there and they can go wherever. And I think there's no bigger blessing. There's no bigger blessing.
100%. I mean, it chimes in with the theme of Africa Rising. You know, we're rising up to where we were, and we're planning to surpass that, because the knowledge they robbed of us about our libraries, which they pillaged, you know, like Timbuktu and all these places where they start to build their own enlightenment. I think one of the most memorable debates that I enjoyed, I'm a huge fan of James Baldwin as an intellect and as a writer. And when he came to Oxford, you know, he arrived as a hero. He won by his presence alone. And I love the way they tried it. They tried it, but he just was like so eloquent, so capable of expressing himself in ways that in a language, let's be real with, it's not our first innate tongue. But we managed to master that and earn respect.
And I think if I can even add one thing, is one of the things that I really try with my students, and I hope, you know, with time, once we have a little bit more research, we might do, is to even get them to force others to engage us within our own scholarship, right? Because the problem is that, you know, we have to also play in our own field, because we are forced, you know, to have read, you know, John Stuart Mill on liberty, you know, or having read all the Western philosophers. But I think there is with that, we have undermined how much you know, scholarship is available from African authors. And part of what I'm really hoping that we do is to say, okay, cool, we can still engage on a debate about climate change and then quote some of our own African authors. And I think when I was listening to Mo talk, like, you know, Gungi with Yonga had done some fantastic work about language, right? But part of that is, you know, how do we bring those in the room and force people to engage with that, right? Not coming in and being assimilated, but coming in and really using our own scholarship. But then secondly, even communicating the way that we communicate, right? Like the way that, you know, the African diaspora, or even African people all over the world, you find that we speak with passion. Like it is, you know, it's not monotone. It's not like this very linear way of talking. We have a storytelling framework that we use to give arguments. So with all of that is, how do we then take that to the world stage as an equal partner, like not some sort of like, well, I feel like you're not. No, it's like, this is how we do it, and you will be forced to engage us on that. And for me, that's where I'm like, in 10 years from now, that's what I'm hoping we'll be doing, where, you know, and like, so one of the things that we do, for example, is, you know, one form of argumentation that we teach our kids is poetry, right? It's like, instead of you having linear, you know, argumentation, What if you split a poem and then say, and then that has arguments, right? Like you're presenting some sort of argument, or use your lived experience as part of your scholarship development. So that's what I'm hoping we get to, and I'm excited about it. And I know, within the next few years, that's what we'll be doing.
Beautiful, King. You have an ally in me, and I'm sure many people listening. So we're going to amplify that message, and it's inspirational. I like the framework for your ideas. That's what excites me. We have great intention for change, but we need frameworks so we can build change together. And I feel you've laid out the first layers of that for us, man. So greatly appreciated. I could keep all of you in the square all day. I just love the conversation. Nandi has been waiting patiently. I'm hoping our next poet is also somewhere nearby. So Dima, if he's around, if you can get him in the green room, that would be great. A couple of quick questions, John, and we're going to let you go. One of the questions is quite a very specific question about Rwanda. When I was staying in Tanzania, my friend had an auntie. They live in a nice complex, like a gated community. And, I was just there as a kind of like guest for a few days. And it came to my attention that this complex was built for the UN. And this was the compound where they left Tanzania to go into Rwanda to do their work during that time of crisis. And unfortunately, there's this delay of knowledge where we only get a film, a Hotel Rwanda, we get a backstory, we don't know what's changed. So I'm wondering what significant differences have happened between the tribes, and where are you at culturally as a people?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Yeah, where, from our understanding, obviously the conflict is what put, Rwanda on the global map for all of the worst reasons. But what is the reality now today in terms of the healing that's happened and what must happen next?
Well, I'll tell you, man. First of all, I've always seen my work as peace building, right? Because part of it is to think of, what people don't know is right after the genocide, unlike the Holocaust where Jews went all over the world, but Rwandans had to go back and live in the same communities, in the same hills as the people that perpetrated the genocide. And one of the things that Rwandans did that was really amazing is that the government said that they were going to go for reconciliation. So they said, let's build, let's for the sake of future generation, we have to reconcile. So the government did a lot of work, especially on building a new justice system, which is called Gacaca, where people were judged in their own communities. And then secondly, the government tried to build a national identity, which is what it's doing right now. Building a national identity is very important because people need to have a sense of vision and a sense of commonness and togetherness. So Rwanda has been, it has been healing. It would take generations for complete healing to happen. And it's normal, for someone who, I think it's almost 20% of the population that was killed in less than 100 days. A lot of people talk of 9/11. In Rwanda, it was 3 9/11 every day for 100 days, and but part of even the immense just tragedies, even like how do people live together after that, right? And for me, what we're trying to do with that debate is to say, how do we engage the kids of perpetrators and the kids of victims to be able to, first of all, listen to one another and understand that each one of us is a particular being with a particular history that affects how we see the world, but then that all of us can learn how to listen to one another. I usually say that when you understand the context of genocide, you understand how hard our work is, because in our work, we're teaching these young people that have every reason to hold bitterness and have every reason to hate one another. We're teaching them how to engage with one another, and that we can figure out a way to solve the problems by, without dehumanizing one another. So Rwanda is rising. Rwanda is really growing and healing. And, you'd be surprised, man. If you, I will invite you all to Kigali. Come down. You'll be amazed. I think I always say you'll be amazed at the capacity of humans to do evil, but then also the capacity of humans to do good. Like, people living in the same communities and people trying to move on, even though it's hard. But it's a work of healing, and it takes years, it takes generations, but we're doing the work. And I always say, if Rwandans can do it, then nobody else has an excuse, because Rwanda's so the worst.
Beautiful. Speaking of no excuses, I've heard reliably that you have like the cleanest capital in the world. Like,
yeah.
How do you achieve that? Because in my area, when they finish with their fridge, they leave it on their doorstep. It's mad. They'll dump a pram. I'm like, that can't work. So help us.
No. It's actually so an interesting thing is every last Saturday of the month there is what we call Umuganda, and Umuganda is general cleanup. So everybody has to go. All businesses are closed, and everyone has to go clean up the streets. So we're cleaning up the streets, we're cleaning up in our neighborhoods, and doing all of that. And that is also a way to bring people together and clean the cities. But another thing too is that Rwanda has the highest percentage of women in leadership position. I think right now our parliament has about 60% or 68 or something is women, and in all government positions, I think it's at least 50-50, if I do remember. But it's mandated by law, but it's also working. So I think the cabinet is 50-50, and then the parliament is like 68 female, and the rest is
incredible. I mean, Dima's on mute right now because she's screaming. Her soul is screaming with happiness. But my word for you is Umuganda. I'm taking that to Enfield and Haringey Council, and we're going to encourage them, because I love the idea of a day off, fix up, clean up, look sharp. That's powerful, bruv. Wisdom, knowledge. Quickly, tell us food we can eat, a drink we can hold, and then we're going to get in this hot air balloon, because Nyandia, we love your patience, your generosity of time, and we are flying in your direction shortly, Queen.
All right, so food to eat in Rwanda. East Africa, we eat a lot of bugali, and in Rwanda we eat it with isombe, which is cassava leaves that's cooked in oil. And I always say have that with some black beans and a little bit of our local spice called akabanga. Akabanga is honestly, if you're to translate it, is the secret. That's what it's called. So it's some really good spices called the secret. So yeah, you have that, and then that's perfect.
Love it, my bruv. I love your storytelling, man. You've held us wonderfully this part of the journey. Please, let's have a conversation about bringing you and the debaters to the UK. We didn't know you existed, and now we need you in our lives, and bring someone to help us clean up London as well. Yeah, I beg. My brother.
No.
Peace and love, man. We're gonna get in the balloon. I'm gonna take some of that cassava cooked in oil with the secret on it for my journey. We're heading out to catch up with a queen who's been waiting patiently. I've heard some great things about you, sister. I heard you're an educator, an empowerer of women, and I can clearly see you're a fly dresser, man. We call that dripping over here, man. When the swagger's that strong, you've been holding your square nicely. So we are landing. Tell us where we are landing. Tell us what your airport is, and just tell us a little bit about who you are in your country, please. So Nadia, the square is yours. Nyandia, let me get that right.
Thank you for that introduction. This is all just hiding a bad hair day, so don't give me too much credit. So yes, you've heard right. I'm an educator, or have been an educator. I'm kind of in transition right now, because I think I met Dima right at the point where that was coming to an end, and I was getting into my own space and starting off like my own art venture, or creative venture, I must say. And so I'm kind of in the middle of stepping out of one thing, stepping into another, stepping out of educating young women, UI UX design. Been doing that for about 9 years here in Nairobi, and now moving into my own venture, which is a home decor line, currently focused on upcycling glass. So we do a lot of collecting glass and repurposing it into beautiful things for the home.
Wow. Amazing. I mean, like many of us, I think there's a reoccurring theme about passion and purpose. And quite often the act of service is about us responding to a human need, but not always our own innate human need. You know, I didn't realize I needed to be around my people so much. I was so busy educating young people, telling them to be amazing. I forgot to be amazing myself. You know, so
I can relate to that.
How long was that vision like inside you in terms of wanting to do something about upcycling and creating something beautiful?
You know what though? I don't know. I mean, like, I recently was going through my Instagram history and I realized that I was posting on upcycling glass like 3-4 years ago. But it was one of those things I kind of played around with around the house. So I would kind of cut bottles, but I never thought about it as something I would want to do. And then came COVID and resigning from my job. And then it was kind of like, okay, I have bottles that I've been collecting.
The world's about to end, deuces. Like, you resign, because some people kind of got laid off. You just left.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
I mean, and I think it's something that's kind of been in the back of my mind, but I think COVID kind of just brought everything into focus, and it was just time. And initially I was kind of thinking about doing a home decor line that just dabbled in different materials. But because bottles were what was available, because I'd been collecting them for years, so I had a workshop where I've been collecting bottles for about 3-4 years, never touched them. So COVID was like, okay, I don't have a job, I have nothing to do in the morning when I get up, so let's go try this. And I had paints lying around, I had all the equipment that I need to get that started. So it just kind of, it happened. I mean, now when I look back, it's been kind of slow cooking in the back for a while. And as I go into it, this is, I think, the 3rd month now, it's kind of slowly morphing into something other than what I initially started off doing, because I think initially I was focused on just the design side of it. And now it's kind of, I mean, I've kind of walked into like this big space. I was telling the brother from Ghana earlier, there's so much bottle waste, and initially we thought we were going to struggle finding glass, but now we're realizing that a lot of people don't know what to do with glass. I mean, we have bars that kind of literally bring them to our gate and deliver because they get charged for disposal. And so for them, it makes sense to liaise with us and give us their bottles. And then you have people that are like burying them in landfills. And I mean, there's a lot of glass waste. So somehow in this journey, we've ended up in the upcycling, recycling space. And yeah, so I can't really define the moment, the journey, but it's been obviously a process to get here, and it's still a process. It may be a different story by the time I speak with you in a month from now, but we're definitely moving towards the home decor design. Right now, working focused on glass.
Amazing. And I love it. I mean, I think your family probably love it as well, because if you've been collecting glass for about 3-4 years, they're kind of whispering like a long-term vision. And I always laugh because, like, you know, I collect things all the time. I was collecting like whenever I popped a bottle of Prosecco or champagne, for me it was always like there was a story behind that drink, and I had grand vision of making an installation. It never happened. I had to throw them all away, but I had about 2 years champagne bottle corks. So it's all about realizing these grand ideas that we have. So I'm curious about the culture, because one of the themes for Africa Week has been about the goddess, about women empowerment. How hard or easy has it been to strike out as an entrepreneur, which I believe you are, creating a recycle business, an upcycling business, and perhaps being a novice at it as well? Like, you haven't got a great history in it. Was it particularly challenging?
Initially, it was breezy because I was so determined, and it was just like, I'm out of here, I'm starting this, I'm going, and, you know, just gassed up. And then it's like 2 months in and you're like, wait a minute, where's the money coming from?
On your own in the room full of bottles.
The job part of it is the easiest part.
Yeah.
The business side of it is the most difficult part. But that's also a learning curve. We have the advantage of having a lot of pop-up shops in Nairobi. I think it's a global trend right now, a lot of pop-up shops everywhere. So we're doing a few local markets, which are giving us like a really good footing in the space around people who actually appreciate handmade goods and give us feedback, because we initially started thinking this is what we're going to do, and then you meet people and they're like, oh, you know what would be cool if you took this and you made this, and you know, like people have ideas for the stuff that we are making, and so it's also interesting to see how people interact with it. So easy, no, I don't also want to say that it's been tedious and hard all the way. It's just been, you know, today could be easy, tomorrow could be hard. It's just you take it as it comes and go with it. So I can't say either left or right. It's just there. It fluctuates from day to day depending on what the activity of the day is.
I think one of the reoccurring themes of the conversation today is about following purpose and the unfolding of the meaning. You know, we can't come into things believing. I think the worst thing you could do is thinking what the destination is and thinking that's going to happen. Quite often,
the worst.
Yeah, for real. Quite often it's like I have to leave here. It's exodus. I'm out of here, heading in the right direction. You're saying louder, me louder. Word. Okay, cool. Boom. Check 1 2. Microphone. Lick up. Turn up. Right. So we leave somewhere. That's all we know for sure. That where we are, we can't stay there. And and on the journey, we meet people who transform us. There's a book called The Alchemist. It's a standard text, you know, for a lot of people on a transformative journey. And you know, the Alchemist, you know, I don't want to ruin the book, but I mean, essentially, is transformed by the journey. You know, I get a sense you're a very confident woman in general. So that question I asked you about the challenge of being a woman in your country, being an entrepreneur, you kind of brushed it off. You're like, I'm built for this. That's fair, isn't it? Really?
I mean, I don't. The challenge of women is like a whole different panel, right? So like I can either keep it surface or I could go deep.
Oh, let's.
But I don't know how to
this hot air balloon is expensive. Don't just give me a little superficial story. Like I would just get in the balloon and leave. Like I want truth out here.
So this space as a woman, I think, is it's being a woman. It's expected that you can make things, right? So like people are just like, yeah, of course you can make them. They're beautiful. Women do beautiful things. However, when it becomes a business, then it's like, well, it's just cute stuff. Like it couldn't possibly, you know what I mean? So like the discrediting an item, on the other hand, it gets credit for being beautiful, but then when it has a tag to it, then it's just something you do. Like it just, you know, it comes so easy to you because you're like a chick, right?
This is the conversation.
And so I think for women, the hardest part is constantly reminding yourself like that you're a businesswoman. You're not just a woman or just a person. I think you have to fight a little bit harder to be respected. And I don't mean that in a take it to the streets kind of way. I'm talking about just simple little subliminal messages that come at you all day, every day. That, you know, if you're not attentive, could really steer you in the wrong direction in terms of self-doubt and self-belief, because I think it's always intimidating. I mean, look at this panel. How many women were here? And do not count Dima as one of them, because it was just 2 of us, right? Plus her, because you were going to be here anyway. So I think that women are just underrepresented. And as a result, we just are not as understood as men. And as we don't command the same respect as men do. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. I know I'm not on this. I'm not in Kenya. I know.
Yeah, you want to talk now, yeah?
Can I interject? I have to. First of all, thank you for bringing back all the pain and trauma of my mother saying she has 2 daughters and Dima, like Dima's some unidentified gender, right? Thank you for that. Unacceptable. I'm going to need to go back to therapy. Second, we're not underrepresented here. I think our presence is so overwhelming. We cannot be, they need to be more to feel more comfortable, because we do command the space and we do command that respect. And whether they like it or not, they know we can flip and bring in a circus in a second. There you go. Fusion had to disappear. I'm just getting started.
Yeah, energy level, you pull away, man. I need to call up. Yeah, fire, man.
I mean, I just saw, like, right before I came on this panel today, I just saw a panel of maternal health. 8 male doctors in Nairobi discussing maternal health. Like, so when you talk about being, so it's we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. Because even on issues that women should be speaking on, we're still asking men to speak on them, you know, because I would imagine that there's enough women that know about maternal health to form a panel and speak on it. But what do I know?
Oh, you're a blessing. I'm so enjoying this conversation, and it's important that we amplify these messages. You know, we all work together. Myself and Dima, we were on a panel just the other day talking about the role of men in terms of our relationship with women, and you know, the primary role is listening. You know, actually listening, and not projecting our ideas of what femininity, womanhood, sisterhood is, but listening, support, and eventually stepping aside to see that manifestation of what the feminine is, what the woman is, what the queen is. You know, and the kings, we have our own problem. We have our own challenge. You know, like, you know, whether you love Kanye or not, you know, one of the things he said that I found intriguing was, you know, we haven't seen kings in the sense of, you know, when we look at Egypt, we look at like pharaohs, like you are controlling your square, you know, and we've got kings coming through now, beginning to kind of control some of their squares, but we're all in the becoming, and there has to be a kindness as we all become what we need to, you know. So nothing but love and respect. Women have always played a central role in manifesting all the things I've ever achieved in my life. We continue to try and serve and support for sure. But let's root the conversation in where you're from. Are you in Kenya right now? Hey, can you just tell us again?
I'm in Nairobi right now.
Right, no doubt. Can you tell us the food, the drinks, where you might take us when we get out of this hot air balloon, and also a question which I've neglected, which is, what does home mean to you?
So let me start with what home means to me. I think what home means to me is identity, and in the sense that, you know, when I've lived in the US before, and living at home, you never get the question that comes after like 2 words, like, you sound kind of funny, where are you from? And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's a big deal to constantly be reminded that you don't belong in a place, or that you are from outside. Not that you don't belong, but you're from somewhere else. And so for me, I think being home represents primarily, you know, belonging and identity. As far as favorite, you know, Kenya has got so many options in terms of food, but I think since ugali is already taken by my guy from Rwanda, I will go to the street food and say roast maize on the street is like the bomb. I think I used to daydream of coming home and just having some roast maize. As far as a beverage, I would say dawa. I don't know if you guys have had dawa, which is basically ginger, honey, lemon, and hot water. It's the best. There's nothing like it, you know. And you can have it hot or cold.
Out here. I didn't know that. That's what it was called. Those are all the ingredients in my morning drink. So yeah, okay. Oh.
There you go.
Cool.
Where would we go? I'm a homebody, so I'm like the worst person to ask about where would we go. But
I don't mean the dope spot. I don't mean like we have to go and just be ton up and party. Sometimes it's a park. Like, you know, there's somewhere in
you will probably go for a home cooked meal, because like I'm big on the entertaining and hosting, so that will probably be my go-to default for any visitor.
Oh, beautiful. Well, we have a platform called Black Woman Time, ran by Peaches and Red Medusa. They will be checking out the live, and I will put you in contact with them. because we would love to continue this conversation. Black Woman Time, the great platform.
Awesome.
Yeah, we've enjoyed our chat with you. Somebody in the chat just said they're rubbing their belly, so you must have kind of piqued their interest in something there. So big love from London. Thank you so much for sharing, and we only wish you the best in your entrepreneurial endeavors to grow a very, very important
Thank you.
business cycle, save this planet
Thank
by
you.
loving it, really, for sure. Beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, man. This is so dope. Like, I'm here in my office, traveling around the world, and this hot air balloon has not crashed yet. It's been good, man. I get my Phileas Fogg on. Right, Dima, can you give us a few words? Because this, we put this out in the ether about 3 weeks ago, I'd say, realistically. And in a very short space of time, you put me in contact with some incredible people, and they've all turned up. And I'm all the better for the journey, man. I think Mo said it. Just she came here to share, and she learned so much. So, what's your feelings?
We're just getting started. That was just a teaser. You said you wanted a taste. This is the appetizer. Come through the whole family. BMT stories, BWT stories. Come through the rest of the family from around the world. This is just a glimpse. And we know this is just a reflection of you as well. Those of you we don't even know.
Yeah.
So this is just the beginning, and we need more. We need so much more of this. So I'm counting on you to come back for every Africa Week 2020 we have.
I'm gonna do a broadcast from the motherland back home. That's the ambition right there, But I'm in trouble, man, because I got 5 good homes to go to right now.
I'm not appreciating being taken out of this equation right here. So this is what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna share a screen because I think, despite my distaste for this world, given where I currently live.
That's America, not Africa, people.
Yes.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, I do have to share this. I think I win.
I'm intrigued. What is this? Is it a picture of a unicorn?
Better.
Okay.
Better. I'm going to take you to Nubia.
Oh, wow.
And this is the sunrise. This is where you'll be broadcasting from. This is where you and the rest of our family are invited to come. And this, I tell you, this is my village. That right there is 7 minutes walk from my house.
I'm coming.
You're coming. You're a returning Africa Week 2020 family member, so you already have this invitation. I'm talking to the ones who are just joining us. This is where we're having the physical reunion. So come through, bring it, you and your hot balloon.
Beautiful. I'm there. We're all there, man.
Awesome.
You've stolen the show with that tranquility. I just want to send a shout out to our brother who didn't make it.
Yes, he's still on the train. Alain is just teaching class. It's a bit of what he does. He's releasing a book. This book is coming out in spring, and it's called The Moral Judgment of Butterflies. He did have a panel. You have Mo Malele telling you, you better holler when you're here in South Africa.
100%. I just want to send love to everyone who's been on the live, everyone who's listened to the playback. Connect with us. Every single shout out, every single message is heartfelt, appreciated. And for us, it's the beginning of a conversation. As Dima said, we're all just getting to know each other. And I see greatness in these connections and relationships. So thank you for the message. And yeah, I'm there, man. Let me know. I'm there.
Call me man one more time. I just also wanted to show.
Put your weapons down. That's the problem.
No. You know what?
We were talking
about. The power of the word. Fusion, the power of the word. We speak it. We speak it. The power of the word. If we're not paying attention to what we're saying, look, this is the flower of Wuntia's favorite drink, the hibiscus. In Nubia, this is straight from Nubia. This is actually from my land. Yeah. In Sudan, they say, you know, Sudanese don't have blood. They have hibiscus running through their veins because this is what we drink.
Thank you, Queen. You hear that? And you updated, yeah? Thank you, Queen. We appreciate you. Oh, I love you. I love you. You're my kind of trouble. Yeah. It's all good. But never put a weapon on me again. Yeah, yeah. I'm holding the mic and I'm holding love for you as well. All right. What we're gonna do is I have my good friend who was comforting me just now as you unnecessarily attacked me for my for he is a great poet, as I mentioned. Put it down. Put it down. I will draw for the pen every time. I will draw for the pen. It's mightier than your sword. Right. So as I mentioned, he's a good friend of mine. He came through today. We're gonna have a writing session. He's inspired me to continue my growth as a communicator, deepen my love of poetry. He's he for me is one of the great poets, period. You know, representing the UK for definite, but his words for me, as an artist, he speaks truths that men often struggle to express. And, you know, one of the conversations we haven't had is mental health, depression, and the high suicide rate amongst men because of that lack of ability to access that interior space and find healing. And his words are a balm. So I'd like to invite him to close us out on what's been an incredible journey around the motherland and back here safely in London town, in the hot air balloon. Most praise to the Most High and the ancestors. We got there okay. So without further ado, I want to hand over. I'm going to step out of the square and invite I.am.Shahid to bring us home. So my brother, the square's yours.
Yes. All right. Let's go home. And let's go home with the only thing that I thought was befitting, listening to all of this. A way to win. Where there's a will, there's a way to win. Work and play to win. Knowledge, God, the greatest thing. It's how we bypass the greatest, looking the latest thing. Is this the predicament that history has placed us in? We, the wafer thin, chase paper kings. Money don't make a king, nor does it bring the happiness that they say it bring. You know the shout, mouth open, story fly out. We taken in, thinking like a slave ain't gonna change a thing if we can't start until someone else says begin. Free from chains and still can't break the link. How the hell on earth we expect to escape the brink of extinction? Let us face the fact that we're afraid to think that there is more to life than scrape and scrimp. So life becomes bitter and dry like the taste of gin. Anytime we take shortcuts, police take our prints. Whether for lesser or greater things, child. Look at the state of things. Look at the state we in. Minor virtues, major sins. A cold reflection of a system we raised up in. What will be the shape of things to come? If we ain't razor sharp, we'll be razor thin. We can turn it round in the time it takes to blink. If we can't see the kingdom, it must be a place within. Peace.
And that is why we do Black Love Stories. That is why we connect for Africa Week 2020. Love, family, if you've been with us from the beginning, additional extra love. We do this for you. And if you just joined us, follow us on the Instagram at BMT Stories. Every Wednesday, we broadcast a show, and it's all about spreading love, making connections with the family and people just like Dima, Queen. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the guests on the show today, man. It's been fantastic.
All love, and blessings. Thank you, and thank you for that closing.
Cool. So what's next, man? We got home under 2 hours. We did the thing. Shouts out to all the guests and everyone who's come through today. Any last words? And can you perhaps tell us what's going to come up next when we sign out and the story continues for Africa Week 2020?
Oh, the story definitely continues. I did want to give a shout out. Oh, we have Inas here saying fire. And also a shout out to you and your bang up job moderating.
Oh, love.
Yes. Something that Jean-Michel didn't mention and something you definitely want to tune into is I Debate Rwanda is carrying the debate on is Africa ready for the return of the icons?
Wow.
You want to tune into that, call on VCAS. This debate is happening. It's happening Saturday. We have so many more panels and discussions. Let me tell you here what we have for the rest of today. We have ancestral trauma and healing happening right after this session, starting at 4:15. Then we have mind, body, and soul cleanse. Then we're talking about the Black Portlander. Tomorrow we talk about bridging the gaps and co-creating generational wisdom. And then we have Saba Speak Solidarity. Then we have what Afrocentric diplomacy, science diplomacy looks like on a Pan-African research landscape. Then we have the Groove Goblin, a little time for the kiddies. Then we have the Indigenous Circle. And then we close with Dignity, the case for Afrocentric archaeology and why we need to see our archaeology through Black lens. Shall I keep going? Are you ready?
Man, it sounds like a little light reading.
And this is just Thursday. This is just tomorrow.
You said it's just Thursday. That is like my cup overflows, and that's just one day. I'm telling you, we need to bang the drum out here in the UK and Europe in general to let people know the love, the intellect,
bring them out.
Connection is so strong at home, man.
1-1 for you Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, from Komombo to Quilombo and beyond, the Afrocentric struggle. All our indigenous people, all people of African ancestry, our struggle is one, and hence our solution is one. And this panel is about making those solutions happen. So come through. The debate I was telling you about is 9:15 on Sunday. Don't miss it.
We're going to post up. Just send us, like, everyone.
Calendar, everything. Follow right now while you are. Follow BFT Stories, BWT Stories. They'll have the calendars there. Tag your friends. If you have your poets, if you have your spoken words artists, if you any genius that can connect with the passion and the love that Fusion brings into that platform, please tag them here, tag them there, tag them everywhere, because this is about the family coming together. This is a reunion and we are just getting started. Thank you so much, Fusion.
Beautiful, thank you. And just roll call, shout out to Ashton John. Please support him, Ashton John Films. His work is available online. It will tell you so much about the lives we live here.
Oh, where's tomorrow? He didn't drop the link for tomorrow. Where is it?
Yeah, I'll find the link and we'll share it for sure. It's somewhere in this computer that I'm looking at the screen on. So yeah, Ashton's work is out there. Support him. I want to show some love to Mo Malele. I just was completely floored by her craft, and I can't wait to hear more from the album. Incredible sister. Wuntia, the work he's doing with his living machine, it just brings me so much hope for the ability for Africa to be the solution, for us to actually be able to achieve, grow, and go beyond expectations from other countries. So there's so much power in that. Nyandi, I just thought the whole entrepreneurial story, it just beautiful, man. So beautiful. And just having the courage to leave work. So many people have stayed hoping quarantine would end and COVID would end so they could return to the jobs they hated. The jobs they hate. And that moment, 2020 is a mirror moment where we look at ourselves, and if something is wrong, we have to make the change. We can't just expect things to go back. Things will never be the same. And she stepped forward. So much love. And our poet as well, Kay Alentine. yeah, I mean, I've so fallen in love with his craft. We've posted about him on BMT Stories, and we will be checking in on the brother in a later show on the Instagram. Dima, you are a queen. You are a manifester of great things. You have your ways, but they be working. I have my ways, and some way we work it out. Yeah, so love, gratitude, and I will never call you man again.
Yeah, still
peace, love. Family, we're out, yeah?